Hello, welcome to another episode of Seeds of Flourishing. So this is the Sunday episode, so I'm going to be talking about a book here. A little bit different in this episode. Usually, particularly in the episodes about books and music, they're very much past focus, stuff I've already read or stuff I might be revisiting after listening to it before or reading it before. Whereas opposed to the Seeds of Flourishing episodes during the week, where I do the relaxation one, that's very much in the moment. And the experience based, that can be either way. Like I recently did one that was a place I'd visited about a week before the video went out. So I thought it'd be interesting to do a book that I've only just picked up, even though it's an older book. So this is a book called This Is Your Brain on Music. It's by Daniel Levitin. Now it did actually come out in the US and Canada around about 2006. Had I have read it at the time, I probably wouldn't have seen it till around 2007 when it was released on Penguin, because that's when I would have still been in the UK. And my reason for reading this book, apart from it being an interesting book to read, and the fact that, as you know, my episodes or my videos that I put out on YouTube indicate, I have more than just a passing interest in music. And looking forward in terms of how I want to flourish in the next year, I suppose, into the year, and I'm talking about mainly, I suppose, 2023 here, is I do want to explore more the whole, I suppose, science and other areas behind why we like what we like in terms of music, and how our musical tastes and how our musical discovery processes work, or specifically I suppose how mine does, and then think about that and think about abstracting that. So I've done what I often do when I embark on what might be quite an academic study, and that's when I used to lecture on a particular subject, I generally just start off with a general book about the particular subject I needed to study or lecture on. Normally it would be a popular whatever book, so if it was science, popular science, if it was computing, popular computing, and so on, and then go out from that. So I decided a good one to start with is this particular book, This Is Your Brain on Music, The Science of a Human Obsession. So I've literally just started reading it this week. And so I thought I'd talk a little bit about the sort of resources I've already uncovered. One thing I will say, and I did like about this book, the bibliography in the copy that I've got access to is excellent. In that not only does it, properly list books that were used in the course of putting this book together, but also it includes additional commentary under the bibliographic entry, which gives you a little bit more information as to why this might be a useful resource. And it differentiates between more academic readings and readings that, well, that's the wrong way of looking at it, but more challenging readings, should I say, which tend to be papers, scientific papers, versus readings that might be a little easier to grasp without any prior knowledge. I think that's the thing. So I was impressed by that. And often when I'm picking up a book for this purpose, I do always check to make sure it has a fairly decent bibliography, or even if it's not a full bibliography, some sort of recommended reading list at the very least. So yeah, this is going to be my reading for however long it takes. I'm probably going to do a quite in-depth reading, and one of the reasons I did this video is I just want to know if anybody watching this video has read this book already, and what sort of, flourishing it enabled in them. Did they enjoy it? But beyond that, where did it take them? Like, what journey did it take them on? So I'd be really interested in that. If anybody has experience of this book, or maybe has also just started reading it. The author of the book, it's actually interesting. My understanding is that initially he was a musician and producer who didn't actually get into neuroscience until his 30s, I believe. But again, as part of this adventure, if you like, I'm going to understand a lot more about the author. I am aware already, through just drilling down through some of this stuff, that he has a second book that was published fairly close in the same domain. So this book, The World in 6 Songs, How the Musical Brain Created Human Nature. So I'd be interested to see where that takes the discussion. Is it just a case of, often you find with authors where they'll release a book and then fairly quickly after it, their publisher wants them to put another book out, and so they sort of riff around a certain subject area that was already covered in the previous book. It looks like, actually, it says here, this particular book leans more heavily on anthropology and evolutionary biology, whereas the previous book, This Is Your Brain on Music, is skewed more towards psychoacoustics and neuroscience. So these two together sound exactly the sort of thing I'm after. So yeah, I'm excited by this project. I'll include links to this in the description. One thing I haven't checked out yet is whether there's any audiobooks available on some of the services that you might have if you have a library card, for instance, because you can access certain electronic materials through some library websites, depending on where you are in the world and what particular part of the country you might be in. So in Canada, my particular library service, there's a couple of other services that I can log on to with my my borrower details. So I haven't gone down that rabbit hole yet, but that's something else I'm going to be doing today and over the weekend, is just drawing together various supporting information. However, I already watched this document. Sorry, let me try and find it. Yeah, there's one called My Musical Brain, which I watched last night. Very interesting. Lots of Sting in it, if you like Sting. Lots of bits of Sting being put into one of those machine that's able to scan your brain to see what's going on when he's composing music. But there's a few other artists in there as well. Feist. In fact, I think it mentions it here. Yeah, so we've got Feist, Michael Bublé, and Wycliffe Jean as well. Some very interesting stuff that he was talking about growing up. And then there's another documentary called The Musical Instinct, which I believe is a series on PBS. And that's got Yo-Yo Ma, Jarvis Cocker, Daniel Barenboim, who's he's a pianist, and Oliver Sacks, whose name I recognise. He's also a neurologist. This one also appears to be on YouTube as well. and I'll include a link as that. It looks like it's got the whole series quite possibly on there. And there is this as well, which I watched part of. I haven't watched it all the way through, which is a Microsoft research talk that the author did. So yeah, I'm going to check that out. The one thing I will say, and it doesn't particularly bother me because I can hear it okay, is these videos were obviously recorded quite a number of years ago from probably older resources, so the resolution on them is pretty low. I think it's like 240. But if, like me, you remember YouTube in the old days, then, you know, it's a bit of a contrast, but, you know, hey, it's like watching old YouTube videos. And I think anybody that remembers it from back then remembers that you used to deliberately shrink down the YouTube screen so it didn't look so grainy. So you know, if it bothers me that much, I guess I'll be doing that. Anyway, that's my sort of book-based project for a little while, and obviously this will grow into more of a wider thing. And then subsequently I'm going to do a few, you know, I'll be doing probably a series of videos about music discovery and what I've ended up, you know, in terms of about going down this particular rabbit hole. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in the next video.